The Rangers had already accepted defeat when the dust storm rolled across the ruined valley. Morale was broken, their voices trembling as they whispered the words no soldier ever wants to say out loud. "We re-hopeless." They crouched behind shattered concrete barriers, pinned down by an enemy force that moved like a shadowy tide. Ammunition was running low. Fear tasted like metal in their throats. And that was the moment she arrived, walking through the smoke with a sniper rifle slung across her shoulder, as sharp as winter steel. Before I tell you what happened next, tell me in the comments where you're rewatching from. I love knowing who's listening. Name was Captain Lena Ward. But to those who knew her story, she was called something else. The Ghost Line Marksman. A legend whispered through barracks and briefing rooms, though she wished she weren't. She never cared for praise. She never asked for recognition. All she wanted was to do her job, protect her team, and silence the nightmares that followed her from mission to mission. Lena scanned the war zone with a calm the Rangers found impossible to comprehend. Smoke curled around her boots. Tracer rounds buzzed overhead like angry wasps. She felt the ground trembling with distant explosions, yet her heartbeat remained steady. Still, somewhere beneath that composure, she fought doubt. Too much blood had been spilled here. Too many memories buried beneath the sand. But fate has a way of calling old ghosts home. The Rangers watched her approach their position, disbelief on every face. Corporal Hayes, who was barely holding himself together, whispered, "That can't be her." "Can it?" Someone else murmured her name like a prayer. Even the air shifted hopes, stirring where moments earlier there had been only dread. Lena knelt beside them and quietly asked, "Where's your commander?" Hayes swallowed hard. "Gone. Taken out in the first barrage. We're down to 13 men, surrounded on 3 sides." Lena's jaw tightened. She could feel the weight of their fear pressing against her chest. For a flicker of a moment, she questioned if she could really save them all. If she was still the soldier she used to be. If stepping back into this nightmare would break her again. But then she heard a distant cry for help. Ranger pinned under debris. A young voice filled with terror. And all her doubt evaporated like morning fog. She pulled out her sniper rifle, checked the chamber, and rose to her feet in one fluid motion. Dust spiraled around her legs, catching the dim sunlight and turning the air into a glowing haze. The Rangers stared, breath caught in their throats. "Listen," Lena said softly. "I can get you out. But you need to trust me." A murmur spread through the group. Hope returning like a forgotten heartbeat. Lena moved to the highest piece of rubble she could find. Her silhouette stood framed against the smoke-filled sky. She closed one eye, letting the world narrow into a single line of focus. Her breathing slowed. Her pulse synced with the earth. In that instant, she wasn't haunted. She wasn't broken. She was a sniper, one of the best to ever hold a rifle. The first shot cracked through the valley. Silence followed. Then another shot. Then a third. Each bullet found its mark with a precision that made even the wind seem to hold its breath. Enemy soldiers dropped one by one, confusion rising among their ranks like a tide turning backward. The Rangers watched, stunned. Their hopelessness began to crumble as they saw the impossible, the battlefield shifting because of one woman. Lena descended from the rubble, already directing them. "2 teams, move north and flank. Stay low, I'll cover every step." Her voice had changed, no longer soft, but commanding, filled with the confidence of someone who had rebuilt themselves from ashes. The Rangers obeyed instantly. Together, they surged forward. The air was alive with motion boots pounding in unison, rifles rising and firing like a synchronized wave. Lena's shot severed enemy lines, clearing a path through chaos. Dust and sunlight swirled around them, turning the battlefield into a storm of grit and determination. Yet amidst the intensity, Lena faced a moral crack in the earth beneath her feet. During the advance, she spotted an enemy combatant, a young man barely 20, terrified, weapon lowered, eyes pleading. For a heartbeat, time froze. She saw herself reflected in him. Someone who never wanted this war. Someone trapped by circumstances beyond control. She lowered her rifle. Just slightly. Her conscience tugged at her. Was mercy weakness, or the final proof she hadn't lost her humanity? Before she could decide, the young man dropped his weapon and fled. She let him go. When the Rangers saw, none questioned her choice. They only understood that leadership wasn't just about strength, it was about heart. Minutes later, the last enemy line broke. Rangers stormed forward, reclaiming ground they never thought they'd walk again. Someone yelled, "We're actually doing this." Another shouted her name with reverence. When the final gunshot echoed into silence, Lena stood at the center of the battlefield, breathing hard, sweat and dust streaking her face. The Rangers gathered around her, their once defeated expressions now glowing with gratitude and awe. Corporal Hayes stepped forward. "Ma'am, we thought we were done. You saved us." Lena shook her head softly. "No, you saved yourselves. I just showed you what you were still capable of." Applause rose quiet at first, then swelling into a wave of respect that rolled across the ruined valley. It felt like healing, like closure, like the valley that once broke her had finally offered her peace. Because courage doesn't disappear, it rises again when someone believes it can. And as the Rangers carried their wounded out of the war zone, Lena glanced back at the place she thought she'd never return to. The same valley that once stole her hope had now given it back. If this story moved you, comment below, subscribe to Whispered Words, and let me know what kind of story you want next. Your voice keeps these stories alive.